Hi, this is Odeean. Today I've got Trace. So this is Toyworld's TW-T03 Trace, a kind of updated homage to Generation 1 Throttlebot Chase. I was kind of on the fence with this guy, mainly because I think that the price is too high on these deluxe size Toyworld figures. I ended up getting it from Chumung just because he's a little bit cheaper. I was buying a few other things, so when I bundled it in, the shipping came down and it sort of went into a range where I thought it was okay. Now that I have it in hand, I'm pretty happy with it, although I do still think it's a little bit overpriced. Here's a size comparison in robot mode. So I've got my smokescreen, my masterpiece smokescreen, who I just reviewed the other day. I really love this figure. It's freaking one of the best figures that I've bought all year. And Trace. So Trace is a standard deluxe size, a little bit shorter than the new masterpiece size. Here I've got him standing next to Smart Robin from Fans Project. I haven't reviewed Smart Robin yet, but I feel that this guy is kind of in a current deluxe height, maybe even a little bit higher than some newer deluxe figures. So you can see that he's about the same as that. So he probably does fit pretty well with deluxes. He definitely fits well with other third-party figures. Here I've got him next to iGear's Brawn. Now Toyworld could have got away with making a line of Throttlebots that are this size, because Throttlebots were never full-size cars back in G1, and they could have gone the iGear route and made smaller figures. But I like the way that they've gone for full-size figures, because it doesn't feel right getting these guys, especially Brawn being this small. I would have felt more comfortable with iGear's Mini Warriors being a little bit more complex and at this height. So I definitely appreciate what they've done here. Trace comes with this blaster slash pistol, and it's a little bit ill-fitting. I think that the peg here is a fraction too wide. When I go to stick it in the hole of the hand, I've got to apply an extreme amount of force to get it in there, and it's not going to go the whole way in, and it's also causing a white stress mark to form on the fist. Now if I grab a ordinary 5mm peg weapon, and this happens to be the one of Full of Cybertron Blaster, it also has a little bit of difficulty pegging in, not quite as much. So the fault is both in the diameter of the hole in the hand and the diameter of the peg, combination making it particularly bad. Although these weapons don't have that easy of a time going in as well. I think they would have been better off making a hexagonal hand hole, like some toys have these days, just to give it that little bit less friction on the insertion. The light piping on the eyes is done really well, and if you tilt the head just a little bit like I've got it here, you can see the eyes come off glowing quite nicely. And I do like the robotic moustache that he's got. He's sporting a nice moustache there. I actually have a moustache like that myself, so I think that's pretty cool. The paint apps are simple but adequate. We've got a little bit of silver here, silver rims with a red trim around the edge. That's a nice extra touch. I'm not sure if black is the plastic color. I think it is here. Got yellow in the top of his head, as well as silver on the face. A little bit more yellow in the waist area here. Some black paint here. So here's some silver detailing and more silver detailing. Black windows and what have you. I'll get more into this window area after transformation, but I'm not really too happy with that. It comes across as being pretty simple in appearance, but it does what it does well enough to fit with the very red character that Throttlebot Chase was. The poseability is pretty good. We've got a shoulder shrug up and down, and that's due to transformation a bit. On the other end of that, we've got a ball joint, as well as bicep swivel, bicep 90 degrees. Hands can go up and down as well as rotate. The head, yep, it's on a ball. Waist, balls at the hips, thigh swivel, knee swivel, about 90 degrees backwards and forwards at the knee. The heel and toe are on, as well as they're on a pivot, as well as individual ball joints, so you get a really extreme range of motion there. That's just about it for poseability. Because he comes in vehicle mode in the box, I'm going to quickly transform him to vehicle mode and then on camera show the transformation back to robot mode. Here's Trace in his vehicle mode. Now I'm just going to stop before I transform it to do my comparisons in vehicle mode. He's a very sleek and well-fitting car, just like the other Toyworld Throttlebots, he tabs together extremely well. There's no way he's going to fall apart. It's one of the best tabbing cars I've ever seen. He feels very smooth to the touch. The windows are just painted black plastic. Now they are very glossy, so it does come across as tinted glass, but I just would have felt a little bit more comfortable if they were really dark tinted glass instead of paint, especially for the price that we pay. But I'm not saying it looks bad, it just doesn't look as good as it could if it was see-through plastic. A bit of an inexplicable omission is a lack of license plates. So you can see there's an empty spot here where we could put a license plate, and turning him around to the other side, no spot at the front. If I grab Aurora, you can see on the back of him he does have a plate. Now it also looks like it might be a plug, like a screw cover to cover a nasty little hole there, so maybe that's the reason he got one and Trace didn't. But again, just like with Smokescreen, who I reviewed the other day, I need some stickers for license plates. So looking at these two together, I don't think they're perfectly in scale, because this is a four-wheel drive, it probably should be a little bit bigger, but it is actually a little bit smaller. If you look at that, they do feel very similar, very sturdy, and look pretty good together. I'm pretty happy with how they gel as a group. Now I've lost my roll bar. Is that what he's called? I'm not sure. The first one, the green guy, I say lost, but it's in my pile in this room that I'm sitting in somewhere. I just can't place it. The gun that I showed back in robot mode, apparently, according to the instructions, tabs in under here. Now there isn't a clear-cut place to put it, but I'm guessing this rectangular notch just has friction squeezing against some of the parts. So if you push it in like that, it kind of snaps in. And there's enough friction that it can hold steady. Now, there's plenty of clearance for him to drive, but it looks a little bit weird. It doesn't look like an exhaust pipe. It looks like a huge cannon sticking out the butt of the car. Remember that these guys apparently are part of a Gestalt. There are some clues to how that's going to work on the underside of Chase here. The first two clues are these two holes, which seemingly have no use, and I'm guessing that's something to do with a locking mechanism here, maybe to hold it in arm mode. The second clue are these pegs and matching holes. I can see two possibilities here. Either this was designed to actually peg into each other and it was an error, they don't actually reach. It seems really unlikely to be an error to me, given how good the design is on every other aspect of these guys. I'm thinking that something slots in the middle here. Maybe a forearm piece is going to go in the middle here. Who knows? Maybe a fist. I'm not sure. So it gives me some hope that there really is going to be a Gestalt mode for the final Throttlebot team. It's quite a nice looking car. I mean, nowhere near masterpiece, but better than current deluxes. I'm pretty happy with how that looks in car mode. Let's transform him. Okay, to start, we need to just separate these two back sections like that. And in itself, I like that. I know it's weird saying I like that half transformation. It looks like some Cybertronian hover car like that. That's pretty cool in my opinion, at least from the top. Reminds me of Bumblebee. Anyway, once that's done, just want to wiggle this out a little bit. All this separates like this. These are on kind of ball joints. We're going to extend the legs out, and they kind of concertina, so you can see they fold out like this. Now that's not the final position. Once we've given a little bit of clearance like that, I'm going to try to untab this roof section. You can see there that that just folds up like this, and then the back section also folds in. What I want is some space so that I can rotate the lower body around like that. The next thing I'm going to do is twist at the upper thigh swivel here so that that silver part goes onto the side, and then at the lower swivel point I'm going to swivel it back like this. Do the same thing on the other side, swivel, swivel, and then what that lets us do is put the foot out like this and then just twist it all back into its robot mode position. Kind of like that. Do the same on both sides, obviously. Okay, next step. I'm going to grab these side panels and stretch them out like that, revealing the elbow. You can flip the hand out. Now here's something I've never seen before. We've got this sort of rod poking out like that. What they want us to do is push it in. It doesn't go the whole way, it seems to stop about there, and then that just lets us fold the arm back in a little bit more attractive way. Do the same thing on the other side, stretch out the arm, fold out the hand. Go on, hand. Push the rod, fold that in. So we've got 4 arms formed now. Now make sure that these swing bars are still down low. We don't want these pieces being up here yet, although they will be in the end. They need to be down low for a bit of clearance. Okay, so what I want to do is, and by the way, this part is not explained in any way in the instructions properly. It just says bend it forward. No, we don't want to bend it forward. We want to tilt it a little bit and then rotate it around so that the bonnet of the car is like that. Then untab these front sections so that they're loose and pivot the whole thing around like this. At the same time, this under part is going to go like that. And you just want to wiggle these bits up in here. It's a little bit tricky. Maybe even don't worry about these side panels just yet. Just get them kind of out of the way. And we're going to let that just float there until the shoulders are right. Before I do the shoulders, we're going to rotate the back panel up like this. Make sure that's down. At the end, that'll tab in as well. Now, I realize at this stage it is looking a bit messy, but that's because we haven't got the clearance to tab anything in. To get that clearance, what we're going to do is pull on this arm and raise it up like that. That gets it out of the way. And do the same thing on the other side. You can stick his arms up in the air so that they're out of the way. Now that gives us the clearance to move this down, and at the same time, just want to get these in an attractive position, kind of up like that. That's final. I mean, it didn't peg in, but it all went exactly where it should go, so now it's more secure. It's still a little bit free floating though. Turning it around to the back, there is, once we bring this down, a tab that tabs into. That's tabbed in now. So we're transformed. Oh, hang on. Fold these little doohickeys into the cavity in the back, just so that you can't see them. Bring the arms out. Now we're transformed. As a comparison in robot mode, here is Aurora. Now I've got to say I like Aurora better. He's my favourite of the bunch, probably because his face just screams out the box art to me, and I had this toy, I used to play with it all the time, the G1 Throttlebot. He's my favourite. I had thought from looking at pictures that Trace was going to be a simple matter of the arms popping out, the legs popping out, and the hood bending down, and that's one of the reasons I was a little bit down on the figure, just because I thought they had slackened off, but it's not the case. The transformation is really unique and innovative and complex. It tabs in really well, so the work is definitely there. It just has been done so well that it looks simple. So credit's got to go to Toyworld, and although he's not my favourite, I don't like him as much as the other two, he is still a really good figure, and he definitely comes from the same family. He fits in beautifully. My final thoughts are that it is still a little bit too expensive, and some of the contributing factors are the lack of real see-through windows. Seems like there's a little bit of a lack of paint and no clicky joints, although deluxe figures don't really have clicky joints. Something about clicky joints somewhere at least, I just feel like I should have them. And in particular, my other 2 Throttlebots from this line are starting to get a little bit loose from just casual play, because they don't have, they're just pins, and pins do loosen over time. But even those things aside, I think that if you've gone into the first 2 figures, you definitely have to get this third one, because the quality is there, and in a year's time you're not going to remember that you overpaid $10 or $15. What you're going to remember is that you have an awesome set of figures that look really good together. So I can definitely recommend him, and just kind of just swallow that little bit of extra expense. Maybe get it from a cheaper place. As I said, I got this from Chmungmung. He had a pretty good price, and I would suggest buying a bunch of stuff, and then that way your shipping will be a little bit less at least. This has been my video review for Toyworld TW-T03 Trace. aka Transformers G1 Throttlebot Chase. I'm Odeean. Thank you for watching. Don't ask me why Lockdown is in this video. I don't know. He just was on my shelf and he was a tall guy to put at the back there. Lockdown's cool.